Oh hi, welcome to a very different style of video. If you've watched my series, The Adventures of Waffles, you might have seen this weird house that I created. Well, it started out as an idea that I really wanted to see come to life, and that's why I'm making this video. This build is to see that original idea that I had in my head truly come to life, and see what it would have actually turned out had it not just completely changed throughout the entire build. And I think the way that this video ends up, the way that I actually make it in this video, is pretty much the perfect vision of what I had in my mind when I first started building, we'll call it the Waffles house, the Waffles home. So basically it was kind of like a 3x3 L-shaped house with, alternating floors right here, and obviously this just looks good. You gotta do this. And after a while, I do end up changing things around just a little bit, but the whole concept was pretty much this. I wanted to make it like a nice L-shaped design, and I think it ended up really good. But let's see the build. Half walls go around the outside because you gotta raise it up like that. You need a little headroom, and then I want to frame where the windows aren't going to be, little sections right there. And yeah, door gonna be right there for now, but nope, it's gonna be in a different spot. But for now, I think I have the idea of raising the floor. I think this it'll look a little bit better. It makes a little sense. So the original floor would have been a waste of wood, but if this wasn't creative mode, I probably would have removed that and just raised it normally. But yeah, this definitely will change things up a little bit. It'll make it nicer when you walk in. It's a nice step up and not just completely floor level. Having stairs right there right there just makes more sense. It just looks nice. So I'm raising it up another half block, and then you gotta just, go around with the upper block as well, which just, it kind of brings it all together and gives you the ability to actually put a roof in there. Man, once again, commentating over over building is a little bit tough. But yeah, I'm liking the look, but I do want to expand this side a little bit because it just makes sense. It looks a little better with this side going out just a little bit. And as you can see, I didn't rotate the blocks right there because it doesn't make sense. It's going to be hidden because, it's going to be the rest of the house. So yeah, I extended out by 3 more blocks, and I fix the pieces, and I fill it in. It's great. Now I need to expand it fully, get those corner pieces in there. They're not really corner pieces, but they're basically framing the windows. Yeah, that's a better way to put it. And then those will actually hold things up nicely with, still keeping windows in there. And then we're gonna move on to roofing. Yep, this is a basic build that is kind of designed after the Zero build that I referenced in, I think it was episode 4 of The Adventures of Waffles. It's basically a very similar design, especially the roofs. The roofs are where I needed the most help, and so this is a very inspired video. So obviously I've got my own little spin on it, but this section right here, the whole corner, the edge of the roofs, they're definitely very inspired. So I definitely can't take full credit for this design, but that's the whole point. You take inspiration from where you can, and you blend it eventually slowly into something that makes it your own. And this isn't exactly something that I'll be using. This is just a proof of concept to show the world what I had in my mind before everything changed. And I think what made it change, I think the reason why the original Waffles home ended up being completely different from my vision was because I decided to make the upper decker. I decided to make the upstairs section, and that's what really changed things. So with this one, there will be no upper decker. But now we're filling in the roof pieces, and this is easy because we're using the 26, and I think the 26-degree thatched roofs, they just look great. Little corner piece over there is going to be quite the trouble in the very, very near future, by the way. Corner pieces, easy day. And those top pieces, also very easy day. But this little section right here, this is where things start to get really complicated, and I really struggle to put this together to make it nice and seamless, but eventually I do figure it out with a whole lot of trial and error. And I've realized realized this would be a whole lot more difficult if I weren't on creative mode. If I weren't able to fly, this would have been so much more difficult. Well, I don't know, maybe. In certain sections it definitely would have been, but if you find a good spot, it's pretty easy to hang on nicely. But right here, we're gonna figure it out after we get this little piece in right there. Yeah, what did I do on that side? Oh, I did this. So there we go, right there. I pop it in nicely, and it looks pretty good. It's got a nice little, more than enough space on the inside to fit more than enough starter stuff. It's definitely a starter home. It doesn't have a huge room for expansion, which is kind of why I almost prefer the house that I ended up with. I do like the upper decker, and having more space is really nice. And this house that I'm building right here, right now, it is gonna be really nice, and I do like the way it looks. It's a nice fireplace right here. It's a good spot. I think it might be better in another spot, but this is where I ended up putting it in. So that's it's great. It's lovely. But I think the official House Waffles is good and it's awesome, but that's because it does allow for potential expansion. I don't think who knows? I may make a completely different base in a different place. Obviously, I'm gonna make small little outposts. Maybe, I don't know, who knows? But the official Waffles home does look really good. And this right here is the concept that I had in mind. And now we are finishing up the Waffles, the Waffles mantelpiece, I guess we'll call it. Yeah, so I tried to fit a bunch of upgrades in here, and I don't have them in the actual playthrough, but I thought it would really nice decor. I like it. And these pans, these pots and pans, they have a weird snap. I don't understand how they work, so I eventually figure it out that you have to kind of put it onto a flat piece, and I like the idea of putting it above the fireplace right there, so I set myself up for it. It's not the ideal location, but I think it turned out pretty great. And this area right here, perfect little spot for a bedroom, and over here is definitely the crafting area, which doesn't allow for that much expansion like I was saying earlier. That's the whole, you got 3 blocks wide, it's not ideal, you can't put a whole lot of additional upgrades there. And then these shelving sections, I really like the way these shelving sections turned out. I've seen so many different shelf designs. I really like this one. I think it's inspired by dozens of different YouTubers, different Reddit Reddit posts, videos on Reddit, on all the platforms, everywhere. I think I've slowly just accrued the idea to make it like this, and I think it looks nice and clean. It's a good, efficient use of space, and I just like it. I think it does a really good job at making the house a bit of a home. As you saw, accidental potion activation right there. Idiot. Placing down some nice little creature comforts. We got some deer rugs. We've got a few little things. I'm trying to see if there's a few extra things that I could pop in here. I do think a nice little bedroom shelf right here would look good, and again, I love the shelf design that I come up with for these. It's clean, it's simple, and it's, I don't know if I'd call it elegant, but it's not unelegant. Inelegant? It looks nice. But I do end up placing some of these item stands out. They don't really end up I don't put anything on there, but it's good enough. Now we're framing the exterior of the windows to break up the basic shapes, and I like this technique. I don't know if I would have done this in my actual playthrough, because while aesthetics are very important in some aspects of life, in a game where every resource counts and you're always struggling to have enough resources, especially wood, I don't know if I would have done this until later, but infinite resources in creative mode, it looks good, and I really like the way this looks. So yeah, that's quite nice. I have infinite blocks, I have infinite wood that I can just place however and wherever I want. So that looks pretty good, and we'll get a good little line on the outside of the roof. I think that it's also, again, it's completely aesthetic right here. It's not functional, but it looks really good, and I think that that's the whole point of this particular video. Now let's finish the chimney right here, and it's really just, I think there are other ways to do it. Obviously there are, where you have like little angled sections that go basically at an angle away from your fireplaces, and it's out of the way, and now you don't have to put little roofing pieces on top of that. So I didn't do that here. I didn't remember that, but that is a fantastic idea, and I need to slowly integrate that into future builds, I guess. But this is a proof of concept that I indeed do have some decent building prowess, even if I do have scatterbrain, even if I do have, I'm very, very easily distracted, and that's just how a playthrough goes, Now we're just prettying everything up a little bit, making it just a little more, pretty, a little more homely on the entrance section right here. These logs right there, and I know that's Yggdrasil. It's not ideal for a starter home, but it looks good and it fills that space nicely. I'm sure there's other things, but I just like the way that looks right there. But look at that, we're pretty much done. We're gonna add these sconces right here. I think that really just, if you're at night, you kind of need that. It really completes the look. I love the way this turned out. I'm really proud of the way this ends up looking. And it's not perfect, but it's the Waffles home. It's the Waffles home reborn from my original idea that I had in mind, inspired by other creators. And just look at that. It looks great. This is pretty much what I had in mind. So I dance, and let's do a good walkthrough. You saw it during the build, but basically you walk in and you immediately have all your main storage, you have your crafting stations, and then over here you've got your cooking area, yeah, quite lovely, and then a nice bedroom over here. And obviously I could spend more time really doing the furnishings, actually putting something on the item stands that I put up, but it looks great. I think this is a proof of concept that indeed, this idea that I had in my head could look good. I think this is less about showing my audience, showing you guys what the house would have looked like if I hadn't completely changed everything, and more about me proving to myself that this would have been a good design had I actually seen it through. But again, I think the design that we ended up with is probably overall better, even though it took a whole lot more time. Mostly because it just leaves more room for expansion in the future and doesn't limit me with, space. So thank you so much for watching. If you had fun, let me know. If you'd like me to do more build ideas, more build videos, let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, do that thing if you feel like it, and I'll see you in the next one.